We now start with a new topic, energy release rate. This we have not done before. And let me remind you that you see in chapter 1, A and B both, we were mostly reviewing the material that you have covered in earlier courses, but which is related to fracture mechanics. And of course, we introduced some new things there. Here in chapter 2, linear elastic fracture mechanics, we are doing now pure fracture mechanics. And we started where the original scientists started, that what is the atomic view of fracture, of breaking bonds between atoms and so on. And then the equations of Inglis and Griffith and modified Griffith and so on. Now we define a new idea. This is later, right? So in 1956, Irwin energy approach for fracture. This is a new approach, essentially equivalent to the Griffith model, but more convenient for solving engineering problems. They defined an energy release rate G. This is the cursive G, right? When you write with the hand, if you write A like cursive A and so on, so this is cursive G. So energy release rate G is a measure of the energy available for an increment of crack extension. So it is the same thing. Remember, we showed WF, energy required to fracture. So now they are formalizing it, that you see there it was said that if that could be done, you can explain plasticity also and so on. So now we are having G, but rate of the energy. So G is the rate of change in potential energy with the crack area. There is some potential energy. If that potential energy is available, a crack can form. Okay. And the rate of change of that potential energy with the crack area. As the crack area grows, what happens to the energy, right? So that is why it is also called crack extension force. That when the crack is growing, when the crack is extending, or crack driving force. Both these names are not technically correct. It is an energy. So calling it crack, but because it is an energy release rate, energy per unit time. So you can call it force also and so on, right? So there is energy release rate, crack extension force, or crack driving force are all the same things, this capital G. Energy release rate for a wide plate in plane stress with a crack of length 2A. So now we will show you the figure again, but it is a wide plate. Wide plate again means that the width of the plate is much larger compared to the size of the crack, so that the end effects are not there. And it is plane stress. Plane stress. We have explained to you earlier in chapter 1 that plane strain means that out of the strains in XYZ direction, if any one of these strains is much smaller compared to the other two, then you can neglect it without really affecting the solution too much. Plane stress is similar, but from a stress viewpoint, that there are three stresses along XYZ directions, or three principal stresses, sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. If any one of them is negligible compared to the other two, then it is a plane stress situation. So this is important, that it is a wide plate and there is a plane stress situation. And the crack is there of length 2A, we will see. So again, we are not showing you the derivation. The Irwin theory is there, it has applied, the mechanics and the physics understood, the math has done. We are directly giving you that the energy release rate is pi sigma squared A upon E. Sigma is the remote stress, A is the half crack size, E is the elastic modulus. Crack extension occurs when G reaches a critical value. This is just like, remember when we were talking of K1, the stress intensity. If you apply some stress and there is some crack, you can measure the stress intensity. K1 is Y sigma root pi A. When you increase the stress, the crack size also increases and you have a new value of K1. When you increase stress further, the crack further extends and you have another. So the stress intensity K1 keeps on changing until it reaches a critical value. Once it reaches a critical value, it becomes K1C, and then very quickly failure will happen. So similarly, this is the equation for G, the energy release rate at any given stress and crack. Now if you increase the stress, the crack will slightly increase also, and you will have another value. So it was G1, now it is G2. You increase it furthermore, it becomes G3. So the energy release rate is increasing until it reaches a critical crack size. So this will now be a critical value of the extension, right? So we are then saying that this is dA of the work done on the surface. So it is the same thing, right? It is the same thing, but it is 2WF, 2 times WF. Remember now, WF means the energy required for failure, and because every crack has 2 surfaces, so this 2, that energy for one surface and energy for the 2 surfaces, so the total energy required is this. So if you define energy release rate like this, then if you define a critical energy release rate like this, then the remarkable thing, again without any derivation, is that this GC is also a measure of the fracture toughness of the material. This is remarkable. So earlier you defined stress intensity K1, and you said that the critical value of this K1C is the fracture toughness of the material. Now you are defining a new thing called energy release rate, or crack extension force, or crack driving force. And then you are saying that if you find the critical value of this extension force or energy release rate, then this is also a measure of the fracture toughness of the material. So this is brand new. This can be known only by someone who has taken a course in fracture mechanics. K1C can still be there in an earlier course in material science or manufacturing or design, if the person who is teaching you is including the value of K1C in the equation and so on. But this energy release rate is a purely fracture mechanics thing. But now you have a second measurement of fracture toughness. Fracture toughness of the material is K1C, and another fracture toughness of the material is GC, the critical value of the energy release rate. It is convenient at this point to introduce compliance. This is not something new. This is just the name. If you go back to your solid mechanics, then there was a chapter on deflection. Remember, there is a chapter on deflection. You have any simple beam, you apply a load in the middle of the beam goes down, there is a deflection delta that you can calculate, and then the beam can be a simply supported one, it can be a fixed support beam, and so on, and you found the different values of delta under different types of beam configuration and different places of load application, isn't it? So, and in the end of the book there is a table also, that there is a table and the diagrams are shown and the deflection can be calculated. So this deflection is delta and P is the load, So P upon delta, you see F is equal to Kx. Remember, F is equal to Kx, the basic equation, okay, and therefore K is the stiffness. So the stiffness is F upon X, right? F upon delta. So P upon delta is the stiffness of the material. If you take 1 upon that, if you define delta upon P, it is in structural engineering called compliance, and here we call it C, the compliance. So this is just that, this is earlier thing, we are just showing you. Again, this beautiful sentence that you like so much, it can be shown that. So we take the previous equation of G, the energy release rate, and then we say that if we introduce compliance into that, then that same equation will become this: P squared upon 2 capital B. Capital B is the thickness of the plate. Remember, from even the compact specimen for fracture toughness, capital B is the thickness, P is the applied load, and this is DC dA. C here is the compliance and A is the crack size. Okay, so P is the applied load, capital B is the thickness of the plate, capital C is nothing but compliance delta by P, and A is the crack size. And this delta is the deflection, that if you apply a particular load, then this is the deflection. It means that we are now not talking of the simple complex specimen, we are trying to put in beam theory in there. So, right, beam theory, because the delta is deflection, the deflection. So if there is a sort of a beam configuration, then we can do it. So let us, right, so rather than having a figure, we are directly giving you an example. So this is actually called a double cantilever beam specimen, DCB, double cantilever beam specimen. Actually what is happening, there is a flat piece, originally there is a flat piece, just like earlier, and there is a V-notch, so this is it is just like a compact specimen. There is a flat piece, and in the middle of the flat piece there is a V-notch. And then we are doing the same thing, we are applying mode 1 loading. So we are loading where the load P is at 90 degrees to the axis of the crack. Right, so this is it. If the crack is here, the V-notch is here, so the crack is here. This is the longitude or the axis of the crack, and the load is at 90 degrees to it. So we are applying a mode 1 load, and it is an opening mode. So when this opening mode happens, then under this load P, under this applied load P, there is some change in the size, right? So delta by 2 here, and the total delta is here. So this is right, that we are trying to do now a beam type version of the compact specimen, but it is the same thing, and its thickness is B. The thickness which is in the other axis, the thickness is B, and the total edge crack size is A. Right, the total edge crack size, if it was in the center somewhere, it would be 2A, but because it is an edge crack, right, it is on the edge, so this is A. And above this the height is H, so the total height is 2H, and so on. So this is the configuration, and now we can say that P is the applied load, and if I take only half of it, right, remove the upper half, take only the bottom half. So now it is a beam, and when we applied the load P, then the beam has deflected by an amount delta by 2. The total is delta. So if you take only the lower half, then this lower half is an exact beam, and on that beam you are applying a load P, and by applying the load P, there is a deflection of delta by 2. So you have capital P, the load, you have delta by 2, the deflection, you have this crack length A that you can see, you have that height H of half beam, and you have the thickness B. The thickness B will still be there. So the question is determine the energy release rate for this situation. This situation is known as a double cantilever beam. Determine the energy release rate. So go back again, pause my lecture. This is again that challenge to you, that can you apply the previous equations, right, which you know the previous equations, can you apply them and use your earlier equation from solid mechanics and this geometry that is shown here, and find me an equation for the energy release rate. So please take it as a challenge, don't give up. Pause my lecture, go back and see the equations on the last 1 or 2 pages about energy release rate and the compliance and so on, and then combine them and come up with an equation. Okay, and please, right, pause it, don't go further into the lecture unless you are 100% sure that you have solved it.